Today on Review This Thing, we're going to review this thing, the Virginia Creeper Trail. Trail is one of the many rails to trails across the country. It has a really cool backstory if you want to click the link that I put in the description below. Just a short history. It was a railway that ran for a few years, but then once it became too expensive to keep running it, it shut down, and then just through a whole bunch of different steps, it became a multi-use trail. It is 34.3 miles long and starts in Abingdon, Virginia, and runs just past Whitetop, Virginia, and goes to the North Carolina-Virginia border. It was actually open for business in 1989, and it's gotten a lot of use since that time. Even I think 2014, it was in the Rails to Trails Hall of Fame or something like that. But as always on Review This Thing, we always want to talk about the facts. So the first thing we want to cover is fit. Okay, obviously fit is a little weird one. We got to get a little creative with this, but basically, does it fit what you're looking for is the question we're going to answer. So what is it you're looking for? There are several different ways to enjoy the trail. What we did, we took a shuttle from Damascus up to Whitetop Station and then just rode the rest of the way down. And I think that's what most people do, because when you start at Whitetop and come down, it's downhill. Instead of trying to go the other direction, then it would be a pretty steady incline the whole way. I'm not sure about Abingdon and how many shops there are there, but Damascus had several shops where you can take the shuttle and you can also rent the bicycles there. In general, it's about 20 bucks to take a shuttle per person. They just load your bicycle up on a trailer and you get in a van and they take you to the top. If you want to rent a bicycle, it's about $15. Obviously, who knows, prices can change as we go, but that's about what it is now. From Whitetop Station, you could obviously ride all 17 miles back into Damascus, or you could keep going on to Abingdon, assuming you took your shuttle from Abingdon. My husband and I did this just a couple weeks ago, and it took us about 2-ish hours, and that includes time to kind of, just take your time, coast down, pull over, take some pictures. There's a couple of just really pretty bridges and farms and waterfalls along the way. So expect it to take about 2 to 3 hours, just depending on how long you really want it to take and how much you want to pedal. We didn't pedal much at all, just because it is that nice, easy, steady decline. So what is it that you're looking for? If you're looking for just a calm, relaxing ride, easy downhill ride in beautiful country, wooded area, shaded areas, beautiful bridges, if that's what you're looking for, then this is absolutely for you. So for that, I'm going to give Fit a 5 out of 5. All right, is the Virginia Creeper as advertised? So this is going to be a really short section because there's not a whole lot to cover. Straight from the Virginia Creeper Trail website, it says the Virginia Creeper Trail is a mostly downhill, meandering ride through some of the most spectacular scenery imaginable. This trail really is absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, it's mostly wooded. There are a few big, just beautiful open valleys and farms you get to ride through. It's shaded pretty much most of the way from Whitetop to Damascus, which I think was wonderful. And the bridges and the rivers and all that is just absolutely gorgeous. And it does, I suppose, meander because you just kind of wander those 17 miles to get back. One thing I really enjoyed is that Whitetop Station is about 3,500 feet elevation, so it was much cooler there. We were almost, even in August, we were almost a little chilly at the beginning, but it was just absolutely perfect. Beautiful, perfect weather, wonderful scenery. So for as advertised, without hesitation, I'm going to have to give the Virginia Creeper Trail a 5 out of 5. Now on to construction and durability. Most of the trail is pretty flat, pretty smooth, just real fine gravel, and there definitely are sections of it that have a lot bigger rocks, some roots, some rougher ground, some ruts from where it's rained and people have been riding and that sort of thing. So for the most part, it's fairly smooth, but there are definitely sections where you got to hold on pretty snug, and you can really feel the handlebars shaking a bit. There was a lady on our van who had brought a road bike, and I have done this trail before, so I was a little concerned for her just because it's not really a road bike appropriate trail. So you're definitely going to want either a hybrid or a mountain bike. I believe most of the places rent out the hybrids, but if you have your own, probably best not to bring a road bike. So maybe if for construction and durability there is a negative, it would be that the trail does get pretty rough in some places. Nothing like mountain bike trails, but rough enough that it's not necessarily just a a leisurely ride all the time just because of having to hold on. But we fully expected it to be kind of rough, so for us it was exactly what we expected. So we really enjoyed it. The length of the trail that we took from White Top to Damascus is definitely wide enough for multiple riders. The bridges also are wide enough for at least 2 cyclists. I think in general you just kind of take turns if you need to make sure you're not in the way of somebody else. My favorite part, as I mentioned before, is that whole 17 miles that we rode, for the most part, other than just a couple of short sections, was all shaded. So a lot more enjoyable for me to just be able to relax and not just be in the sun the whole time and just be getting hot. Another thing you can keep in mind too is there are a lot of different places along the way where you could, like if somebody was with you and they didn't want to ride, where they maybe could meet and pick you up if you didn't want to do the whole 17 miles. A couple different little towns and stations that you can come to. Another neat thing is you don't necessarily have to pay the fee to go to White Top and come back. You can start anywhere. You can start in Damascus and ride down toward Abingdon and go as far as you want and come back, or whatever you want to do. So just keep in mind that there are lots of different ways to use it. We also saw a ton of people walking. The Appalachian Trail actually is part of the trail, and there's other little intersections, some spur trails, so there's tons of hikers. People are using it to get to fishing spots on the river that runs right beside it. So all kinds of things that you can do with this Virginia Creeper Trail. So when you put all of these pieces together, just the beauty of it, the mostly smooth ride, the size of the trail, so putting all those pieces together for construction and durability, and I think mainly because I was expecting it to be a little rough, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. Now on to testimonials and reviews. I mainly looked at TripAdvisor, and with about 1,100 reviews, the Virginia Creeper Trail gets a 5 out of 5. So, what are the negative reviews that people have to say? One of the big things people talk about is that it can be extremely crowded. We went on a Monday in August, and school had sort of started back. And so we didn't have any trouble. Our van only had a few people in it. There weren't a ton of people at White Top when we left, and then just along the way, we obviously encountered other people, but I'd say slow, if anything. Now, people do say that weekends, especially during the summer, and then big time in October, they say it's crazy crowded. And a lot of that has to do in October with the leaves changing and people just really wanting to come and experience that, which I can imagine would be just breathtaking. But that is one complaint that people do have. Another complaint is the areas where I mentioned, where the bigger rocks, the ruts, the things like that. If that is a concern of yours, I would definitely recommend doing more like a greenway instead of this trail. But overall, it just gets fantastic reviews. If you can avoid the crowds and just be ready for those rougher spots, and make sure you have the appropriate bicycle, then you should be good to go. So, obviously, for testimonials and reviews, we got to give it a 5 out of 5. All right, finally, the thing you really want to know, should I buy this thing? Okay, well, first of all, it's completely free to use, so you don't have to buy anything, only if you take the shuttle to the top, which I say is absolutely worth it, just because it's really nice to just be able to enjoy the trail on the way down. The 5 miles or so that my husband and I did the other way the one day, it was tough. So I can't imagine trying to go all 17 to the top. People do it, we saw people doing it, but that part is definitely worth it. We absolutely loved our time on the Virginia Creeper Trail. I don't think it's for everybody. Just keeping in mind that it is, 2.5, 3 hours that you're going to spend on a bicycle. So if it's maybe been a few years since you've ridden one, you do have to, sit on a bicycle for 3 hours. So you're still going to have, my back was a little sore, and my rear end, of course, was a little sore. And my husband and I ride road bikes semi-often, and we still were a little sore after doing it. So keep that in mind for sure. And as I mentioned, there are those few rough spots that you will have to contend with. But overall, if you know those things going into it and you're prepared for it, and you feel like you're ready for it, then it was an absolute joy. We really had a great time. It was beautiful, relaxing, beautiful scenery, great weather. So if you can go during the week, especially, I would definitely, absolutely, highly recommend the Virginia Creeper Trail. So should I buy this thing? We're going to give it a 5 out of 5. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have been on the Virginia Creeper Trail, please comment below. If you have questions, comment below. Take a minute to please subscribe, watch some of our other videos like this one here, and also follow us on Instagram and Facebook.